Welcome to the program. I'm Sharon Mommanyi. We start here in Nairobi, where the Director of Prosecutions, Keriako Tobiko, has directed Inspector General of Police Joseph Boynet to investigate the conduct and utterances of Nairobi Senator Mike Sonko Mbuvi during a burial ceremony in Ukambani yesterday. Sonko, who caused chaos at the burial, prompting CORD leader Raila Odinga to hurriedly leave, also declared himself as acting president of the Republic of Kenya, a declaration that has caused uproar among Kenyans. Here is Duncan Hayamba with the details.
Here at Kinanie Farm in Mavoko constituency, Machakos County, where it all started. Nairobi Senator Mike Sonko disrupting a burial ceremony.
Mheshimiwa Sonko, kindly wind up.
After the MC appeared to ask him to finish his speech.
Kindly, technician, I need this microphone off. No. You can't do that.
Causing a pandemonium that nearly led to physical fight. The bereaved widow, former Kathiani Member of Parliament Wavinya Ndeti, had to move in, prompting security officers to throw a ring around the main podium.
When Raila was talking, did you switch the microphone?
A scene that saw CORD leader Raila Odinga, who was in attendance, leave the ceremony unceremoniously. In his earlier speech, Sonko had also declared himself as Kenya's Supremo.
I am now the acting president of the Republic of Kenya. Hawa polisi wote mnaona hapa. Na hizi magari za polisi ziko hapa sababu yangu, because I am the acting president of the Republic of Kenya.
Actions and utterances that have seen the Director of Public Prosecution, Keriako Tobiko, direct the Inspector General of Police, Joseph Boynet, to investigate the senator. The directive reads, pursuant to Article 157, Section 4 of the Constitution, I direct that you conduct urgent investigations into the said conduct and utterances. Have Senator Sonko interrogated in respect of the said conduct and utterances and urgently forward the file for appropriate action. Nairobi Senator Mike Sonko never stays away from controversy for long. However, this time round, he could be walking a tightrope in the event he's found culpable of the utterances he made declaring himself the acting president of Kenya. Duncan Hayamba, KTN.
And Senator Mike Sonko has been quick to defend his conduct. And right now, here is that clip of his rejoinder.
Yeah, again, I think the DPP is relying on malicious, dubious, and damaging allegations that I provoked the presidency, which I never did that. I think he's basing his facts on a clip that was edited by bloggers, opposition bloggers, which that's not we should not follow that protocol in the investigation. He's the public prosecutor. He ought to have investigated the matter. He ought to have gone to the ground and get information from the NSS guys on the ground. He should have gotten the clips, the raw clips from all the media houses present.
And it is that story on the conduct of Senator Mike Sonko that forms the basis of our Saturday night poll. And tonight we're asking you, should Senator Mike Sonko be charged for demeaning the presidency? Should Senator Mike Sonko be charged for demeaning the presidency? Do tweet us your thoughts at KTN News, at Sharon_Mommanyi. We shall sample some of your views at the tail end of this bulletin. Let's move on now. And Coalition for Reforms and Democracy CORD leader Raila Odinga has said that the mild challenges facing Kenyans will not be solved through State House summits that the Jubilee government is currently engaged in. Raila warned Jubilee government of dire consequences in the 2017 elections should they continue to ignore the plight of the youth. Here's that report.
Jubilee tutawakamatia chini.
The Kisii County's Youth Consultative Forum may have provided a perfect ambience for CORD leader Raila Odinga to reconnect with the youth and show them that he too can pull a move or two. That shows he still remembers his youthful days with a passion. And besides the jig, the CORD leader tore into Jubilee, saying the Uhuru-led team lacks solutions to a number of challenges facing the youth and many other Kenyans.
The people are industrious. The people in the intelligence. They have the resources. So what is it that is wrong that we're not getting right? That is what we must get right. That is what many other countries got right, which Kenya has got wrong.
The CORD leader said the government has been creating less than 50,000 jobs every year when the country's education system produces over 800,000 youths.
And unless we do a change, a paradigm shift, we will continue to wallow in poverty for another 50 years.
He further said the country is blessed with an intelligent workforce that should not be ignored.
But there are opportunities which are available with an empowered youth with proper skills, and this is what we need to address.
The host, Governor James Ongwae, highlighted his agenda for the Kisii youth, saying he had employed over 2,000 youths in his government.
But moving forward, the county government is going to support the youth. We will go out of our way to do what we can be able to do. Kazi ya viongozi ni kulinda rasilimali na mali ya nchi, ndio uwaridhi vijana.
Mwelekeo wa nchi yetu kisiasa utategemea ile njia vijana watataka tutembee pamoja nao.
The conference also tapped a bigger number of the youth from South Nyanza region.
Barack Obama anasema democracy is on the ballot. Tolerance is on the ballot.
The conversation here was a ball set rolling for the youth and is believed to have offered them with more entrepreneurship skills for their future. Fred Muturi, KTN News, Kisii.
Deputy President William Ruto was in Ikolomani, Kakamega County this afternoon for the homecoming ceremony of ICT Principal Secretary Sami Itemere. Ruto asked the people of Kakamega to be wise in the next general election and be part of government. Ruto also dismissed reports appearing in a section of the press that said he's so keen in wooing the Western voting bloc.
Mimi naona vyombo vya habari wanahangaika na mimi, wanasema ati Ruto tena amerudi Kakamega. Sasa mimi nashangaa hawa watu wananihesabia safari ya kuja Kakamega, wako na haja gani na mimi? Mimi nataka niwaulize nyinyi watu wa Kakamega, kwani nyinyi amuoni hii maneno vile inaendelea? Tofauti, acha mimi niwaeleze. Tofauti kati ya CORD na Jubilee ni kama usiku na mchana.
Tafadhali usichoke, uendelee kuja hapa. Sisi tutarudisha mkono. Ama watu ya Ikolomani mnasema namna gani?
Kama makosa ni mimi kuleta hii lami ndio Jubilee, hii kama ni tumbo yangu nitakaa huko Jubilee. Kama kuleta university ndio hiyo tumbo yangu imenipeleka Jubilee, basi nitakaa huko Jubilee.
Now, in the face of the hunger ravaging parts of Kilifi County, it is emerging that authorities may have ignored clear signs of an impending famine that now leaves thousands of families facing the monster. The current situation has wiped out hundreds of livestock and crops, with some families hardly meeting even a meal a day. Humanitarian organizations are warning that the situation may get grosser should quick interventions not be put in place. Ganze and Magarini are the worst hit. Here now is KTN's Coast reporter Francis Ontomwa from Kilifi.
Ganze, Kilifi. This is one of the hardest points in the county. Children going for several hours without food. Women walking several kilometers in search of water. The water pans have run dry. Crops have been grounded by the harsh weather. Animals have not been spared either. This calf will have to learn the hard way. Minutes after arriving at this point, the tough times took a toll on the mother. She died. Here, families that are lucky can have a meal a day. Some may go for days without food. Some 200,000 people are staring at a possible crisis in Ganze and other parts of Kilifi.
Chakula nimekula juzi kutokea jana. Jana nimekunywa rangi tu peke yake nikalala. Sasa hivi nimekunywa rangi mchana, usubuhi. Sijakula mpaka sasa hivi pamoja na watoto wangu. Sina mtu ambaye nimemtegemea.
When such calamities strike, it is children, mothers and the aged who bear the greatest brunt. It is almost 4 p.m. and this woman is preparing the family's only dish of the day. Any moment from now, her grandchildren will be arriving from school. Outside, she has dried these pieces of meat given to her by authorities. She has to take a slice at a time, at least to last her for the next few days. The weatherman had raised the red flag and the signs were even clear, but seemingly no one took them seriously. And now this is the situation that keeps replicating itself here in Ganze and many other parts of Magarini. And there is a warning that the next few days may even get worse. Long queues characterize the few remaining water points here. Learning has been disrupted at some schools. 2 have already closed shop. Many children left to hover around their homes with nothing much to do.
Mimi sina chakula ambacho nimetegemea, chakula changu ni sima tu peke yake. Nipate mboga watoto wangu nawapikie wale, sikupata mboga nawapikia sima tupu na chumvi wanakula.
Some like Kadenge Ngumbao have taken up a full-time job to look for the remaining grass in the field and cut them for sale. Every bag going at 200 shillings.
Gunia hapa ni shilingi 200 hii gunia kubwa, halafu gunia dogo ni 100.
Locals say humanitarian assistance has been slow and inadequate, raising fears that things may spill over.
Tunateseka zaidi ya hapo tutakufa njaa.
Kilifi County has so far donated over 20,000 tons of relief food. They however say the coffers are now depleted.
Why can't they bring a program to Ganze? Ganze has always had this problem for many years, even before the county government came. They have a mandate to ensure that food is produced through irrigation. They need to come to Ganze, consult the county government, and we do the irrigation and the people of Ganze get food. So there is a solution. Only somebody is sleeping on his job.
The spinning discourse on why this is turning out a recurrent crisis remains vaguely addressed. Critics say the National Irrigation Board of Kenya, together with authorities tasked with dealing with drought in the country, may have turned a blind eye to clear signs of time. Francis Ontomwa, KTN News, Ganze, Kilifi.
An absolutely devastating situation there in Kilifi County. And the drought menace in the country now appears to have spread to areas that traditionally do not face such situations. And as KTN's Timothy Otieno reports, a section of residents of Tharaka Nithi County have now opted to compromise on their all too precious commodities for now, just to ensure they have a meal on their tables tomorrow.
The silent scourge that is now gaining national attention has not spared even traditionally rain-rich areas such as Tharaka Nithi County that is now slowly choking in the dry soils. Yesterday, government announced that nearly 1.3 million Kenyans were at risk of facing starvation.
The most affected are Kilifi, Kware, Tana River, and Taita Taveta. Other affected counties include Garissa, Wajir, Mandera, Isiolo, Marsabit, Makueni, Kitui, and Samburu.
Interestingly, Tharaka Nithi was not mentioned in that list, but many here say the government ought to focus on the area as well. Meanwhile, the residents are not taking any chances. One by one, residents of Kathwana area within the county converge here with their prized commodities. They intend to sell their animals before they die from the looming drought.
Tunauza mifugo mingi kwa sababu ya mifugo kukosa kitu ya kukula. Ndio sababu sasa tunaomba serikali ingilie kati ituletee maji kwa wingi. Tukiletoa maji kwa wingi na at least tutakuwa at least sababu tutakuwa na mifugo itapata kitu ya kukula, ng'ombe itapata kitu ya kukula, mbuzi itapata kitu ya kukula na pia watu tu watapata kitu ya kukula maji kipatikana.
Problem is, the sale of the domestic animals is at a throwaway price. The panic among residents has meant more owners are doing away with their animals, making the market price for such goats drop drastically. And the panic could be spreading even as more areas within the county experience the dry spell.
Kuna places zimeathiriwa sana na jua kama vile Kamarandi, Kamanyaki na Kamaembe. Hizo areas zimeathiriwa sana na hii jua, watu wanalala njaa.
Treasury Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich has not given the exact estimates on how much could be needed to mitigate the situation, even as approximations of nothing less than 90 million Kenya shillings are floated. When the country faced a similar situation in 2014, government reports indicated that about 1.1 million people faced acute food insecurity and needed immediate food assistance. This time, the situation could be worse, with 23 counties cited as being affected. Question is, will the residents of those counties get the much needed assistance before any fatalities are recorded? Timothy Otieno, KTN News.
Now, you do not necessarily have to be a big entrepreneur in order to be seen to be daring abroad, so to speak. You do not have to be a professor nor a farmer. On Daring Abroad tonight, our special correspondent Alex Tamwada brings us the story of Saitoti Lema, a school dropout from Tanzania who earns a living at Malaba border by selling sandals. Take a look.
It is business as usual at Malaba town, which is a busy crossing point between Uganda and Kenya on the eastern side of Uganda and western side of Kenya. It is the second busiest border crossing point between the two countries after Busia, based on the informal exports and imports. Beneath that picture of big trade, so to speak, hard-working hawkers are busy fending for themselves, crisscrossing the border to sell their merchandise. At this border, there are hawkers who have traveled from as far as Tanzania. One of those daring hawkers is 28-year-old Saitoti Lema from Arusha. He sells items like sandals, belts, and wallets.
Biashara huku ni ngumu sana. Unajibeba, unaenda jioni bila hata kuuza hata kitu, lakini bado unatupatia mora kidogo ya kubeba. Kwa hiyo sasa mimi nafungaga saa 12, lakini maisha hapa ngumu sana, lakini sasa utafanyaje? Unatafutia watoto.
His family is in Arusha.
Sasa nakaaga karibu mwezi 1-2 naenda. Ndio naenda kuangalia watoto.
Saitoti's main reason of operating away from home, he says, is to avoid buyers who, quote, take you for granted.
Business waga unafanya mbali na nyumbani kidogo, kwa maana ndio at least watu watanunua, kwa maana kufahamu huko, kwa maana kufanya sasa biashara huko nyumbani. Kuna jokes tu kidogo ambayo itatokea huko. Anakuambia nikopeshe mara hivi na kujia kesho nitakupatia. Ndio sasa ndio napenda kufanya biashara mbali na nyumbani.
Hawking can be seasonal, he says, depending on what one sells. For him, the peak comes during Christmas and the New Year season.
Mwezi wa 11 ndio hivyo, kwa maana ndio watu wanaenda Krismasi hivyo, wananunua viatu kwa wingi. Lakini sasa hivi bado jua inawaka sana. Lakini sasa hakuna jinsi utafanya, utavumilia tu.
Despite the unpredictable nature of his business, he says he makes enough, nevertheless, to pay for his rent.
Nyumba yenyewe iko bei cheap, kwa maana huwezi tu lala kwenye guest ambayo iko bei ghali. Kwa maana mimi ni selambo najishughulisha na viatu kama hizi, kwa hiyo tunaenda kutafuta nyumba permanent ambayo ni bei rahisi.
Saitoti has learned to keep hope alive, believing that one day he will hit the jackpot by just hawking at the border.
Biashara yangu ni kwenda Kenya na kuuza huko Kenya na kuangalia huko Kenya biashara ionekani, nafukia huko Uganda. Natafuta customer mpaka baadaye nifuke tena huko niende nikalale huko Kenya.
For small traders at the border, handling cash can be tricky, especially juggling between different currencies. 25,000?
25,000.
Hiyo ni kama pesa ngapi ya Kenya?
Hiyo ni kama 550.
Here are some tips from EcoBank Kenya.
We are a super agent for M-Pesa. The ordinary mwananchi would not need to carry cash on their bodies when crossing borders between all the East African countries. So we would encourage them to use mobile banking so that they can walk safe, carry out their banking through the phones, in addition to the prepaid cards that we've offered.
Na kwako masomo haikuwa kutoendelea haikuwa ndio mwisho wa maisha.
Kwa kutoendelea sijaendelea kwa maana unajua sasa maneno nimefeli. Sasa kufeli nikasema kurudia tena itakuwa noma, wacha tu nijishughulishe kutafuta riziki yangu mbele kama mwanaume mwingine.
For Saitoti, failure in school is not necessarily failure in life. He decided to fend for himself at an early age, and not just within his locality, but also beyond the borders. And that's daring abroad.
Let's take some sports news now. And the Football Kenya Federation has suspended extreme sports officials for taking part in an unsanctioned league. However, the company's CEO, Hussein Mohammed, escaped the unanimous decision following a court injunction.
Football Kenya Federation held its 4th annual general meeting on Saturday, and the first under the new president, Nick Mwendwa. Several burning issues were discussed and passed, including the budget and constitution amendment matters. However, two key agendas which formed the basis of the AGM couldn't go on as planned. A proposal by
is increasing the nations going to the World Cup from 32 to even 48. We suspect it will be 40. Why? Because of the spirit of inclusiveness for the world. Football is about including everybody. We are asking for this league to be expanded so we can include more clubs, more communities.
The second issue was suspension of extreme sports for running what was termed as an unsanctioned league. But after another court injunction barring the federation from suspending the CEO and the company in charge of the concluded Super 8 League, FKF decided to vote out some of the company's official and match referees.
Way back today, members have said that yes, we are going to suspend anyone who takes part in unsanctioned leagues. But yes, that if a member considers, writes back, and comes to us and says they are going to abandon those practices, we are happy to review the same and look at their record and accept them back.
But then these are temporary injunctions. And I'm sure as a federation, we are going to have a special general meeting later this year. And we are going to handle these issues one by one.
61 members voted in favor of the motion, while 5 voted against. Abdullah Ahmed, KTN Sports.
Now, thousands of participants took part in the 2016 edition of the Ndalat Gar Cross Country Championships held Saturday morning in Nandi County. The race was this year held in memory of the late former AK president and Ndalat Gar Cross Country founder Isaiah Kiplagat. The 10 kilometers women's title went to Africa 1,000-meter champion Alice Aprot, who displayed her cross-country running prowess to win the title almost unchallenged in a time of 27 minutes and 24.5 seconds ahead of last year's winner Irene Cheptai and Winnie Chesir, who finished second and third respectively in the 10-kilometer men's race. Little-known Abraham Kiptum upstaged experienced runners to emerge the champion in 31 minutes 10.09 seconds, while Elisha Chirchir and Emmanuel Ball followed respectively.
Haikuwa mbaya leo. Nashukuru Mwenyezi Mungu manake nimeweza kuwa nambari ya kwanza. Sikuwa nimefanya mazoezi vile na sikuwa hata natarajia kuwa nambari ya kwanza.
It is at this point that we wind up today's edition of KTN Weekend Prime. Thank you so much for watching and for your feedback. Keep them coming at Sharon Mommanyi, at Sharon and KTN News. We shall continue sampling them. And also, before I leave, we'll leave you with a special edition from Lamu Island. Now, on the 16th of October 2011, marked the start of Operation Linda Nchi. The Kenya Defense Forces were deployed to Somalia to fight the Al-Shabaab. Tomorrow marks the 5th anniversary of this operation that has been marred by criticism with regard to its success in keeping the country safe. Weeks before the operation was launched, there was a spate of kidnappings of foreign nationals in the country that the government says further necessitated the offensive operation. 2 of these kidnappings occurred in Lamu. In this report, we see how the island of Lamu has been faring since the onset of these events. Have a good night. A lone abandoned banda stands just meters from the beach in Ras Kitao, Manda Island in Lamu. The falling walls hold a sad tale of a French woman, Marie Dedeau, who was kidnapped on the 1st of October 2011. Aged 66, Marie would later die at the hands of her kidnappers who were demanding ransom. Falling walls and piling leaves are what make the face of what was once the late Marie Dedeau's house here in Ras Kitao in Lamu. Police say that her kidnapping and that of other tourists in the area as well as other parts of the country made that decisive decision for the Kenya Defense Forces to launch an invasion into Somalia. Their mission then was once to uproot the militant group Al-Shabaab. And while the Kenyan government associated her killing with Al-Shabaab, French authorities did not. Neither did her friends. They believed it to be a criminal act on a foreigner that the kidnappers believed to be wealthy.
To be honest with you, what happened to Marie has nothing to do with terrorism.
Just weeks before Marie's kidnapping, a British man, David Tebut, was killed and his wife Judith kidnapped from the Kiwayu Safari village in Lamu. 2 Spanish aid workers working in Dadaab were kidnapped the same year, 2011, and freed 2 years later in 2013. Al-Shabaab claimed the last 2 kidnappings. Various sources state that the Somali invasion by KDF had, however, been long in the planning with a bid to uproot Al-Shabaab. The kidnappings only gave a suitable context.
Hali ilivyokuwa zamani, yani si zamani, ya miaka kama 5 hivi 6 toka itokeze ile mambo ya kidnapping ya ule Mfaransa na hii mambo ya Al-Shabaab kupiga Mpeketoni ili tuharibia sana. Lakini si haba tushukuru sasa kidogo mambo yaanza kuwa mazuri.
Kusema kweli, wakati wa curfew mambo yalikuwa yana utata sana katika kaunti ya Lamu kwa sababu ya ghasia ya mambo ya terrorist na mambo mengine, na business kidogo ikaja chini sana. Lakini baada ya mwaka mmoja hivi, mwaka mmoja na nusu, mambo yakaanza kuwa mazuri.
As Tofik Ahmed, a hotelier in Lamu Island, tells us, the residents, traders and hoteliers here in Lamu Island have borne the brunt of what they say is a misreporting of the situation here on the island.
Mwanzo nitaanza na nyinyi wenye habari. Nyinyi ndio ambao mwatuharibia sana hizi biashara. Kwa sababu kisiwa cha Lamu ni tofauti, ni kisiwa. Haya mambo yatokezea ni Mpeketoni mbali huko. Kisha wajua kule ni mabarabara tu, ni misitu. Sasa ile time ya kuadvertise Lamu zachukuliwa hizi picha za bahari, za beach, za wapi. Kisha vile vitendo vibovu vikitokezea huko zaja kuchukuliwa picha zile za hapa, zawekwa. Hasa yule mtu ambaye hajui Lamu, ambaye hajawahi kuja hapa, ataona mahali penyewe ni pale. Na mambo yafanyika mbali huko, hata yahusikani na huko.
Mambo mingi yamerudi nyuma, japokuwa serikali imejitahidi kuleta usalama, lakini watu wana hofu. Na kitu ambacho watu wanaogopea zaidi ni mauaji ambayo yale yalitokea pale Mpeketoni. Na watu pia wanaelewa vibaya because kuna sehemu ambazo ni kama hotspot. Mambo yanafanyika na sehemu zingine hayafanyiki, lakini watu wakizungumza wanazungumza ni kama ni Lamu mzima. Hivi sasa sisi ambao tuko hapa Lamu tunaishi vizuri, hata wenzetu wa Mpeketoni.
Upande wa usalama, kusema ukweli, serikali inafanya juhudi zake kuwezekanavyo kutokana na usalama uko wa hali ya juu kabisa. Na tunaomba ndugu zetu fellows ambao wako nchi nyingine wasiogope kuja Lamu.
Sunday marks 5 years since the launch of Operation Linda Nchi, an operation that has had its fair share of criticism with regard to its success. And as the sun sets on Lamu Island, residents relish the peace and calm here. Their hope that other Kenyans and foreign tourists would know it is just as safe as any other place can be. Sharon Mommanyi, KTN News, Lamu Island.